Brad Richards, a heck of an NHL career, just one very impactful year here in Chicago with the Blackhawks. Before we talk about that season and winning the Stanley Cup here in Chicago, I want to look back to that offseason leading into that. Can you take us through kind of the mindset as you're looking to what your next team is going to be and why it became the Chicago Blackhawks?
Yeah, very fortunate, obviously, that I had the chance. It was a tough ending the year before. We lost in the final to LA, and to have to try to figure out all that and lick your wounds, and then realize you got to pick a new team within 10 days was kind of it was a whirlwind. But there was some options. But when Chicago called, it was we knew it was probably going to be 1 year, and knew that they had a great team and they're going to be right back at it. So I just had to kind of think about going for 1 year. But it was such a great opportunity, and playing another Original Six city, all those things, it was just too hard to pass up. And obviously it was glad I made that choice. I'm not regretting it at all.
Spent a lot of your time centering a line with Patrick Kane on it. Pretty enviable scenario for anyone in the NHL. What's it like playing with a guy with that much skill, and how does that kind of shape what you were trying to do on the ice?
Yeah, it was slow at the start, but when I did get some chemistry with Kaner, it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, he broke his collarbone there in the second half, and he was on a tear going into that. But the playoffs were a lot of fun playing with him. He's just such a smart hockey player, and I loved every minute of being out there. And he wanted the puck all the time, and you knew he wanted to make a difference all the time. And ended up, that year getting to know Patrick very well, and he was, became a good friend and a good teammate. So it was great. It was a great experience.
I think that the pass to Kane in Game 6 on home ice in the clincher is kind of seared in the memory of every Blackhawks fan. I was looking back at a lot of the plays and goals from that 2015 run you guys had, and noticed almost a similar play, almost the exact same play. Game 1 against Minnesota started in the D zone. Antoine Vermette wins a draw, gets it up to you. You go through the neutral zone and juke Marco Scandella, I think it was, at the blue line, throw it over to Kane.
Carried on by Richards. Richards, nice time step there. Bang across, score! Patrick Kane!
It's the same one-timer we saw in Game 6.
And now it's brought right back up by Son. Moving back up with Kane. Drops it to Richards. Across to Kane. He scores!
He was talking about you, Kane, that is. He says, you were always a guy looking for the extra pass. In those scenarios, are we seeing that similar play because Kane's over there and has an incredible one-timer?
Yeah, he's going to be in the weeds. Everybody after the game when I passed it to Kaner when we clinched the Stanley Cup was wondering why I didn't shoot. But to be honest, I didn't think about shooting for half a second. Probably would have looked pretty bad if the pass didn't work out, but it just for whatever reason, you see it developing. It was just in my heart, it was going to be the right thing to do. It was just I just had to wait long enough to freeze the goalie, and you can see it in the video. He slows down and kind of opens up, and I think he knew it was coming. Probably also, but we've done it enough in practice and talked about it all year, so it was just. It never crossed my mind to shoot the puck. I thought if I could wait this out, he'll have an open net, and we pulled it off.
And you also had an assist on the goal prior, Duncan Keith's game winner, sod to you at the center, almost the center line up to Kane on the wing, and he throws a nice pass right in the slot to Keith. How much fun did you have playing with guys like Duncan? I know we talked about Patrick a lot, but there's so many stars, so much talent, so much depth on that team. How much fun did you have coming in there, maybe not knowing what you were going to see, and then end up going into that deep run?
Yeah, it's tough. I was coming on the end of my career, and you're going into a locker room with a lot of personalities, a lot of success, a lot of veterans. You had everything in there. So it's tough to kind of find where you belong. I left a team where you're kind of one of the leaders in the team or captains, and then you're coming in there and you're trying not to get in the way, and you're kind of analyzing things, and you're seeing like Hossa and Duncan and Seabrook and Taze and Kane, all these guys So it's fun just to see how they prepare and how they practice and how they eat. Chicago is so committed to winning. So it's weird at some points. You don't want to say and do too much, but you also want to make sure you're giving enough and helping the group also. So it was a lot of fun. Learn so much, even late in your career. You're always learning, and to go to a locker room like that was a lot of fun to see how it all works.
You spent 15 years in the NHL, a handful of different teams, 7 in Tampa, 4 in Dallas, the Rangers for 3 years before Chicago, and then Detroit afterwards. So you've been around. You had more than 1,100 games, just a handful with the Blackhawks. But when you look back at that time in Chicago, not just the Stanley Cup, besides winning the championship, what will you look back on fondly when you reflect on your career with the Blackhawks?
Well, Chicago, a lot of things happened. My firstborn child my son was born in Chicago in October. I played my 1,000th game in Chicago. We won a Stanley Cup, and it happened all in 9 months, and I was gone. But when you think of those 3 things happening in your life, it's pretty much 3 of the best things that could happen in my life, being a hockey player. So, it was 1 year, but it was an amazing year, and a lot of things happened in my life that my family and I will always remember. And me personally with hockey, obviously winning and all that stuff, it'll always be ingrained in my brain, those 9-10 months in Chicago.
Brett, thanks for the time. It was great catching up and reflecting on what was a pretty incredible 2015 season for the Blackhawks.
Thank you.